Hey guys, it's just Merrill again. So my last video was a reply to Krugman's post about Austrian economics and their views on money market mutual funds. And what spurred this blog post of his was actually a post by Brad DeLong, who's a teacher at Berkeley. So surprisingly, I hadn't seen any Austrians reply to DeLong. Now, there's been at least 3 people, prominent Austrians, replied to Krugman, but no one's replied to DeLong. And what's crazy is how distorted DeLong's view of Austrian economics is. And I'll point it out. Right, so he originally, or in the post that spurred Krugman to write his post, DeLong says that when Ron Paul talks about honest money, it's just a dog whistle. And he goes to say the good productive workers versus the bad exploitative usurers, which people who lend money for interest, right? And the necessity of a hard money depression to cleanse the monetary colon. You know the drill, right? So yeah, I'm gonna roll my eyes to that one. He goes and there's 2 posts that really, it's like a collection of archives of everything he said about Austrian economics. And you can just see the ridiculousness, right? He accuses the Austrians of valuing gold because it's expensive to mine from the ground. And he says that the Austrians adhere to a cost of production theory and labor value theory. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The Austrians invented the idea of subjective value theory. I don't know how this guy has an economics degree. Brad DeLong is a really smart guy. I've listened to his recorded lecture of Intro to Economics. And if you listen to it, one, I apologize in advance because he's got a really bad case of sinuses and he really loves to snort into the microphone. So if you can get over that, let alone his bias, you can learn a lot, especially if you haven't taken an economics class before. But my point is that he goes off on these, in his discussion, he goes into the topics that are beyond the scope of economics, that really involve history, anthropology, sociology, things like this, that, he's a well-read guy. History, I said history, but, the history of famine in Cambodia or something, he knows these really seemingly random stuff, and he's really well-read, which makes it unforgivable that he makes these kinds of mistakes. I mean, really, I really have to wonder, is he being dishonest when he misrepresents the view of Austrians? Or is he just that damn ignorant? One example, if you listen to his class, he makes the fallacious case that Herbert Hoover was a free market, laissez-faire adherent because his Secretary of the Treasury, Mellon, famously quoted saying, liquidate everything, liquidate labor, liquidate capital, liquidate whatever. I forgot the exact quote, but he said that the cure for the depression was to let the bad debt go into bankruptcy. And so a lot of people say, oh, see, the Treasury Secretary said this. So clearly, Herbert Hoover was a laissez-faire adherent. But no. Because if you look at, and this is what's crazy, is that he quotes this from the memoirs of Herbert Hoover, this quote, right? If you look on the next page of the memoirs, Herbert Hoover says, and I didn't listen to Mellon. I ignored him, right? So you really have to wonder, is Brad DeLong being dishonest, or is he just ignorant? And this applies again to his other ideas, like calling the Austrians adhering to a cost of production and a labor theory of value, like Karl Marx. He says that, right? Okay, that's just crazy. And even his fellow economists called him out on this, right? And there's this crazy back and forth of he thinks that Austrians support a gold standard because it binds the power of the bankers to create value out of nothing. And then it goes into this, like I said, he mentioned usury, as if there's something morally wrong with interest. And makes all these claims about the point of view of Austrians, which is total BS, right? Austrians don't hold that view. He accuses them of anti-Semitism. And how can you be anti-Semitic when, well, everyone, Mises, Rothbard, Hayek, and more, are all Jewish, right? I mean, just total nonsense. How can he even write this stuff? So, let me read you some other quotes. Let me see if I can find a good one. Well, none of them are good. So, Larry White called him out on this when he was saying this, and what I'm referring to is the idea that all Austrians are liquidationists at all the time, and think that basically what would be like a Irving Fisher debt deflation is healthy. Well, no, that's not what Austrian economists said. That you don't want the demand for money to exceed the supply, which would be, cause the run on the banks. If people want to hold more currency in a free banking system, that would solve itself naturally. Banks would just issue more notes. But when you have national banking system like we had, only the Fed can create more notes, right? So the appropriate thing in that situation would have been to create enough money to offset the demand for currency. But the Fed was contracting because of bad policies, right? So the Fed was too loose in the early part of the 20s, and then Benjamin Strong died in 28, 29. They were trying to pop the dot-com bubble. Wow, I am tired. They were trying to pop the stock market bubble, and they adhered to the real bills doctrine. And anyways, point is that I'm talking about the Fed, not Austrians. So Hayek, yes, he was calling for a laissez-faire response of doing nothing, but he wasn't calling for, like I said, contracting the money supply beyond. He was not contracting the base money supply, at least. Maybe the bad debts of the bank should have been wiped out, but that's different than contracting the base money. So Larry White points this out in reply to DeLong, that Hayek said that the goal should be to stabilize nominal income. Nominal income is money supply times the velocity equals price times the quantity of goods. Price of goods times quantity, right? It's an equation. On one side you have money, on the other side you have goods and services. And DeLong says, oh, no, Hayek didn't want to stabilize nominal spending. It's Ben Bernanke that wants to stabilize nominal spending. Really? No. And he cites it's the inflation targeters that want to stabilize spending. No. They want to stabilize the price level. There's a difference, right? Nominal income is M times V. Stabilizing the price level is P times or plus 2% per year, right? Or whatever your inflation goal is. Those are different. Within that variable, you can have prices go up even if the economy, the real supply, if Q contracts. So that's if Q contracts, you have a reduced supply of goods, then the price would go up, right? Supply and demand. So DeLong says, I think that the deep point of view underlying von Mises's and von Hayek and Karl Marx and Ron Paul's complaint against fiat money in general. I didn't know Karl Marx was against fiat money. I don't know. Is that, and the monetary management of the business cycle in particular is this: the value comes from human sweat and toil, not from being clever. What? Thus, it is fine for money to have value if it is 100% backed by gold dug from the earth by sweat and machines and muscles, even if there is no state of the possible future world in which people actually want to exchange their pieces of paper for the gold that supposedly backs it. But it is not fine for money to have value simply because it is useful for buying things. There is von Mises and Karl Marx and von Hayek and Ron Paul think something profoundly wrong on an economic and a moral level with procedures that create value that is not backed by, in Marx's case, human labor, and in von Mises and von Hayek's case, human entrepreneurial ingenuity. And in its scarier moments, some of the trains of thought emanating from this deep point of view slide over to good German engineers and workers, bad Jewish financiers, and good Russian Stakhanovites, bad Jewish Trotskyite intellectuals. Serious? He's saying that Austrian economics supported Hitler and Stalinism? Ludwig von Mises had to flee his country to escape the Nazis. He was like the last surviving classical liberal. How could you say that he supported the Nazis? That's what he's trying to imply directly. Note, this does not just apply to fiat money produced by government. This applies to all financial market assets valuations in excess of capital cost of production, or perhaps the value of the inventions of gigantic Krell-like brain of John Galt. Ooh, there's a libertarian jab. There, they are to von Mises all cheats. Thus von Mises loathes fractional reserve bankers and IPO mongers as much as he loathes modern central bank chairs. Really? Mises loathes IPO mongers? People who... No. Mises fully understood... Oh my gosh, you know what? Just read Human Action. Just don't talk, Brad DeLong, because you don't know what you're talking about. You know what? Don't even mention Austrian economics until you actually read it and can fairly represent it. I don't know even why I read your blog sometimes. If you can be occasionally good about this, like I said, he's a smart guy, right? Normally, even if I disagree with him, I would value his opinion. But when he writes crap like this, yeah, you really have to question how much intellectual integrity he has. I'll put the link to the blog below. You can check it out for yourself if you have the stomach for it. Hope you enjoyed this. Justin Merrill, out.